I welcome everyone to the City Council meeting for Monday, September the 11th, 2023. Madam Clerk, if you'd have a roll call.
Melissa Green.
Here.
Steve Holofield.
Here.
Harry Meyer.
Here.
Autumn Slane.
Here.
David Avancino.
Here.
Terry McClung.
I'm here.
All right, stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved. Second.
All right, Mr. McClung made the motion, Mr. Meyer seconded. Any additions, corrections?
Nope.
Hearing none, all in favor of the agenda as submitted, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion to approve the minutes for August 28th.
I move to approve the minutes for August 28th.
Second.
Mr. Meyer made the motion, Ms. Slane seconded. Any additions, corrections? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that brings us up to our commissions. We've got a vacancy in the Planning Commission, along with also our CAPC. We've got 3 positions available in the CAPC. So anyone out there who's involved with the restaurants, motels, lodging, if you're interested, please let me know and we'll get your application to the CAPC. Also have 1 position vacant in the cemetery. So, all right, we'll have, brings us up to public comments. Please allow 3 minutes for your comments.
Hi, my name is Ashley Ochoa.
Could you give your address?
6 Apache Drive in Holiday Island, Arkansas, 72631. Can I go ahead and start? Okay.
Sure. Go right ahead.
I'm a native of Eureka Springs, and 6 years ago, I opened Lush Salon and Spa inside of the Eureka Holiday Hotel. It is now the Super 8 Hotel. The salon is in the basement of the hotel with no windows, and 3 months after opening, I started getting symptoms: cold and flu, earaches, dizziness, etc. At 6 months, I started reacting to food. I was really sick after eating, bloating, vertigo. As years passed by, more and more symptoms occurred, but my business partner wasn't having any symptoms, so I thought it was just me. At this point, I was having neurological issues, pain in my joints, weight gain, weight loss, numbness in my hands and feet, vertigo, dizziness, ringing in the ears, reoccurring pneumonia, flu, cold, severe stomach issues, fatigue, anxiety, hair loss, rashes on my body, vision issues, heart palpitations, panic attacks, shortness of breath, and reactions to all food, including gluten and dairy. There is no visible mold inside of our salon, which is why I never considered looking into the salon or the hotel. This past January, we found that I have 3 types of mold in my body, including black mold. I also have mast cell activation disorder, which is a condition where you experience repeated episodes of anaphylaxis, allergic symptoms. I also have chronic inflammatory response syndrome, which is a progressive multi-symptom illness characterized by exposure to biotoxins. It can affect any organ if left untreated. It has affected mine, and it's affected my liver, kidneys, pancreas, brain, and colonized in my stomach, meaning the mold now grows in my stomach and releases mycotoxins. We have also found 10 bacterial infections and 2 fungal infections in my stomach. After speaking to an employee of the hotel, I found out there was in fact mold everywhere in the hotel. Most importantly, though, there was mold growing on the connecting wall between our hair room wall and the electrical room for the hotel. There was a continual leak against that wall for years, and the owner was aware. We also have had flooding situations in our salon, in the lobby, the storage room, the pedicure room, all coming from above us in the hotel. At the time of the floodings, we were told to just clean up the water. An inspection of the hotel was done by Jacob and the fire marshal a couple of months ago, where they found that an air quality test was necessary due to water protrusion causing possible mold. The manager of the Super 8 told me our salon was never mentioned in Jacob's report. We were in fact mentioned 3 times. The hotel had an air quality test done, and the tester never left the lobby and finished the test after 5 minutes. Their report showed no findings of mold. There are 8 days between the hotel's test and the test I paid for, and my test shows mold throughout our entire space. He said it is not sustainable for a business to be in there, and I have a copy of his report. Remediation is needed. The Super 8 and the previous Eureka Springs building inspector's negligence has taken 6 years of my life, and I'd like to see what can be done to ensure this never happens again to another person.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Sorry.
I'm Tom Buford, live at 32 Dogwood Ridge, Eureka Springs. I'm here to talk about the tree ordinance, which is on y'all's agenda tonight. During the workshop and at one of the city council meetings, there was a discussion about the penalty clause. If you cut a tree, what you could be penalized for. And it was discussed, and I think the mayor brought up whether we could in fact impose upon a penalty and how much we could that amount be. We found that Bentonville does have a penalty in their ordinance, which is $25 to $1,000. In our draft ordinance, we had specific amounts for small, medium, and large type of trees. I'm not here on behalf of planning or both because we've not met since this question came up. The only thing about the $25 to $1,000 it's a wide range. Personally, I'm in favor of putting a specific amount on the small, medium, and large trees. And I just want to point that out. Of course, it's y'all can do what you want to, but I think it's more helpful to have a specific amount than have a wide range in there, $25 to $1,000. Thank you for your time.
Good evening, I'm RJ Josephine. I live at 60 Steel Street, and all I know is what I read in the papers. But I was somewhat alarmed by Simon Wiley, the Public Works Director, quoted in this week's paper as saying that the work should be done now on the sidewalk project in front of nothing fancy. He said that the work should be completed. Unfortunately, they keep doing things incorrectly and are being forced to remove the mistakes and redo them. I see this as a failure of communication and possibly on the state level, because if this is indeed a state project, they should be providing inspection and oversight to avoid these sort of situations. It's not fair to the contractor if he's out there not giving specific instructions or not knowing the standard drawings or construction procedures that need to be followed. There should be somebody out there from the state and from Eureka Springs to jointly work with the contractor to make sure that we can get this job done on time and on budget without undue hardship to the contractor. And this points out an even bigger picture coming forward with the roundabout. And I hope that the city will at least consider hiring or on contract perhaps someone who is well versed in street construction that can work with the state and get the job done, because that's going to be a big job and it's going to be a PR nightmare if it's allowed to have the sort of bad press that this very small project has caused. And I don't think it's a failure on the city's part necessarily. I think it's a lack of communication oversight on the state level, because after all, this is a state project. But going forward, I hope that you maybe work a little bit, be a little more proactive in maybe assigning somebody to work this and shepherd it through. We obviously don't have the personnel to stay camped on one project, but especially the roundabout is going to deserve some very focused attention. Thank you.
All right, I guess that concludes our public comments. No, we have one. You want?
I
one
do
to read?
have
You
one.
read?
Yeah. Get it pulled up. All right. This one is from Karen Lindblad. One, a council member recently asked why citizens come to city council meetings instead of calling or meeting with council members separately, and why citizens are often frustrated or upset when they do come to the meetings. Since we nominate council members by ward but elect citywide, all council members are our council members. Because citizens are busy making a living and running our lives, we don't always have time to call each member separately, so we come to council members to address all our council members at once. As to why we are often frustrated or upset, consider the following. The council has pledged $250,000 for a roundabout we don't need, and that will put our school children in grave danger of injury or death in buses with no seatbelts, while ignoring the serious problem of sewage pipes leaking all over town. That money should be spent on beginning to fix our sewer system. One of Eureka Springs' the city that water built little secrets is that all of our springs are polluted and a danger to public health should anyone come in contact with that water. They are polluted because of sewer pipe leakage. Some citizens have been waiting for years to be hooked up to the system. The council has authorized the city to pay $300,000 for water from the Beaver Lake Authority, which has leaked out of the water pipes before it even reaches any faucet in town. Since in office, has this council fixed this problem? The answer is no. With leaking sewage pipes and leaking water pipes, is there a cross-contamination problem with our drinking water? The mayor is not a member of council. He is the executive branch, and the council is the legislative branch who passed the laws. Following Robert's Rules of Order, which council adopted, the chairman, mayor, is only there to run the meeting and stay completely neutral on all issues. If he wants to comment on an issue, he must step down from the chairman position to do so. This is not currently the case at meetings. Council meetings are just that, meetings of the council, not the mayor and his council. The important part of the job of the council is to have vigorous and sometimes passable debates to bring up all pros and cons of an issue so that the citizens can fully understand and comment on the issues the council is considering. This council has passed important resolutions such as the roundabout and tunnel underneath it and other legislation without much debate or the benefit to the public of public hearings where issues are brought on a singular subject for public comment. Instead, we, the citizens, are given 3 minutes at the beginning of the meeting to make comments on all of the issues on the agenda. These are some of the reasons that citizens are frustrated and angry about things going on in our city. We feel ignored, uniform, and not taken into account on many of the decisions council makes. With no public hearings, we feel left out of the decision-making process. This is information that needs to be taken into consideration by the council, and then we will see some changes made that will benefit the citizens as well as the council and thus Eureka Springs.
All right, I think that concludes our public comments for the evening. Brings us up to our unfinished business. First item is the water leak remediation plans.
Motion to discuss.
Second.
Ms. McClung opened discussion. I think you have in your packet, do you not, a letter from our Public Works directors regarding the work that's been done to date. Does everybody have a copy of that?
No.
Unfinished business
like
number
this.
1. It'll be in your...
You have, Mr. McClung, do you
Yeah,
have?
I have it.
Oh, okay, I thought you said you did.
No, I do.
Would you want to read that out loud, or you want me to, or?
Let me read the.
Sure.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Subject, this is from Simon at Public Works. Subject water leak update. Dear Mayor Barry, here's an update on the recent progress repairing water leaks throughout the city. 34 Hillside, 4-inch ductile iron line split, repaired with a compression sleeve. This line is not on our map, nor do I have plans from when it was installed. The pipe has severe corrosion. This leak caused the water that ran across the sidewalk and down the gutter on North Main Street. 133 East Van Buren, 2-inch service line has multiple leaks, ductile iron and in very poor shape. One leak fixed and another identified. 17 Steel Street, 2 leaks were found on a 3/4 inch service line. Huntsville Road, at the United Methodist Church repaired a leaking 1-inch service line. 40 Armstrong repaired PVC service line break. 23 Douglas repaired service line. 104 Huntsville repaired 2-inch line. This line is unknown and parallels an 8-inch line, 8-inch main and a 12-inch main. There is another leak in the area they are trying to pinpoint today. 60 South Main, Barrows Excavation is trying to pinpoint a large leak in this area. This 6-inch main is ductile iron and in very poor condition. McKim and Creed are still working to identify more possible leaks, but stated today that they should be done by the end of this week. And I'd just like to go ahead and continue just with some comments. I've seen their trucks around, and it's great because I see a lot of repairs being done and you know, progress being made. I noticed that some of these are service lines, and the service line, I assume, is on the customer side of the meter.
No, they'll be on our side too. The
They
meter, I
are,
think.
they are on our side.
Yeah.
But they're just the service line
To
from
the
a
meter.
larger, okay, that's, I was wondering, I want a clarification
As
on
opposed
that.
to the main that we see coming up Main Street.
Right, right. Because I know, like I was telling the mayor earlier, that the chances of that 2-inch line that's at 104 Huntsville could be an old line that used to serve that little bit of 23 South that had city water before Eureka South subdivision went in, and which then filled in with the bank and music show and the other things that because there was a water inch, an 8-inch water line that went south and into Eureka South and serviced that and drops down into Lake Lucerne and back up Forest Lane and loops back around and ties back in. And so it could be, I mean, I don't know that for sure, but a lot of that is old. It's definitely old, just like the other, those 2-inch lines, that's what a lot of what we had serviced a lot of properties in town. So, and there's probably more of the parallel lines around, but I'm sure they're aren't they mapping everything as well as they go? Isn't that correct?
Yeah, they are mapping it, and they're helping Simon out with some computer data that he didn't have access to that they were able to pull up, so.
Yeah, they're putting it on GIS.
Yeah. We probably still don't have a lot of our water lines and sewer lines mapped, but this certainly helps a lot.
Helps tremendously, yeah. And they're going to come back. I think we're trying to do some contract work for the sewer lines too, if possible.
We're looking and see what the cost of that is.
Yeah.
That may be up to $100,000 for that one. And that's to do the testing where they,
Smoke test?
yeah,
No, or camera
smoke testing.
Smoke testing.
And that's what we did,
before, yeah,
what was it, 15 years ago?
at least.
Yeah. And then a lot of that ends up being unfortunately, on the residents,
Yeah.
because that's where a lot of the problems are.
It is what it is.
So, but going ahead and regarding the one on Hillside, that first one that was talking about the 4-inch ductile iron, they worked on that last year 2 or 3 times. Mr. Holyfield, you probably remember them being down there.
They had a hard time finding it. I think they dug up several spots.
Well, and we ended up thinking it was a wet weather spring
Yeah.
because they went all the way down to Main Street trying to find it and never could find it. So I'm glad we finally found
Yeah.
where that is. So these people, McKim and Creed are doing a great job and been real good. I'm glad we're able to hire them.
I think that we should probably get them back on a regular basis because of the way the lines are, how old they are.
Very well
When we
could
can't
do.
find them ourselves, give them a call.
Ms. Slane,
How much do we think this is going to reduce the loss
I don't know whether we really know until we see what it
when
is.
it's done?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Now regarding your comment, I am encouraging Simon, I think we have equipment. Now, if we can get these people to help us train on that equipment also, that would help.
Cool.
So
Yeah.
we're looking into that so we can possibly dedicate one person just to being able to find water
Yeah,
leaks.
having our own equipment would be wonderful. Well worth the dime.
Anybody else have any comments on the water lines?
Good work.
All right, if not, second item will be ordinance to amend the tree preservation as submitted.
Motion to discuss.
Second.
All right. I think in your packet you should have a copy of what Mr. Buford was talking about on the penalty phase, and also, I guess, the draft ordinance that was read the last time and changes made.
Yep,
Is this up to date?
yes.
Okay. Mr. Holyfield?
On page 10, under 7.56.15 is penalties. And I agree with Mr. Buford, a range of $25 to $1,000 just gets all kinds of murky and crazy. I really suggest, and I brought this up at the workshop, of multiplying those. Have they been multiplied? 10, 50? Just taking them all, multiplying it by a certain amount to make them higher. I mean, it really speaks to, if I have money, I can cut down a big tree and pay $200, and that's all there's done to it. But I mean, especially, and we've had situations in town when people have gone through and cut down several trees and then declare, oh, I didn't know, and then they pay a little fine and then they move on. So I think this really should be penalty plus also tree replacement as well.
Mr. McClung?
Well, what I propose we do is I'd like to make a motion that we go ahead and read ordinance number 2345, suspend the rules and read it by title only. And once we do that, then we can make all the amendments that we wish to attach to it. Is that
Well,
okay?
just reading it for the second time.
This would be for the second reading, yes.
I'll second that.
Mr. McClung made motion to suspend the rules and read ordinance 2345 by title only, suspend the rules. And Mr. Meyer seconded. Any further discussion?
Terry-
Hearing none.
Sorry. Terry McClung,
Yes?
Harry Meyer,
Yes.
Melissa Green,
Yes.
Autumn Slane,
Yes.
Steve Holyfield,
Yes.
David Avanzino.
Yes.
Ordinance number 2345, an ordinance of the City of Eureka Springs, Arkansas, repealing and replacing 75601 through 75610.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I would like to ask Mr. Holifield if he would, to put what he has in mind into a form of an amendment, so we can add that to it.
Second.
Okay. Do we need to discuss what we should raise it to? Or do you just want me to come up with a number?
Repeat.
Well, I think you need to make a suggestion and throw it
Yeah.
out there. And,
Make a proposal.
yeah.
I make a proposal that we multiply each of these numbers by 10. And also, again, do a tree replacement requirement. As there is tree replacement in this ordinance anyway, but we would apply it to this as well.
So that-
I'll second his motion.
For clarification, then that means a small tree would be $500, a large tree would be $1,500, and a large tree would be $2,000?
Yes.
Okay, I have a question for the city attorney. Under misdemeanors, is there a maximum? Do you know if there's maximum amounts?
It used to be 1,000, but I don't know what it is now. I'd look it up.
Yeah, I think there's a maximum amount on misdemeanors that can be charged as a penalty.
Let's just
This
make
would
it a
be- This
felony.
would be a misdemeanor.
Make it a felony.
Yeah.
I thought Mr. Buford said that there was
They use up to 1,000 in Fayetteville.
up to 1,000.
Bentonville.
Yeah.
Am I
Yeah,
looking at
It's
this?
25 to 1,000.
The tree ordinance that I have in the email says that the small trees are $50. Is that what I'm looking at still?
Yes,
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
But again, my opinion is, well, I can pay $50 to cut down any tree I want. So,
Right.
There's no penalty to it.
Right, but the small tree is how big?
It's over 4.
4 inches,
Over.
over 4.
Under, well, 4 inches, yeah. It has
2
to be
to
over
8
4.
inches.
It has to be over 4.
2 to 8 inches. So if I cut down a 2-inch tree, I'm going to get $500. I agree with raising it, but I think 500 is a little pricey, in my opinion.
2-inch trees? We can cut down 2-inch trees.
I have no idea.
Page 9.
There must be a Class B at least. Ms. Green?
Well, I think they're talking about small species tree, which is a different thing, Ms.
Okay.
Lane. And I would make a motion that we multiply it by 5, which would,
Well, okay.
which would make it 1,000 for the top one.
Mr. Mayor, the minimum or the maximum for a misdemeanor in Arkansas is $2,500.
Well, let's go with the 10.
25,000.
2,500.
This says
25,000.
25,000.
Really?
But that's for a Class A misdemeanor.
Class A misdemeanor, whatever that is,
And a Class B misdemeanor is 1,000, and a Class C is
500.
500. So we must be a Class B, if that's what Fayetteville is using. But your motion would be to do it by
Multiply
5,
by 5.
which would make the maximum $1,000, and then $750, I believe, and then $250 for the small tree. Is that correct? Am I doing that
Yes.
right?
Mr. Mayor, I'm missing something here. Are we
Yeah.
identifying it as a Class A misdemeanor or B misdemeanor, or is it already classified as a
We've
The
got to
tree.
name it.
Fayetteville uses $1,000, so
I understand that. I'm not, that's not
Under
my
that
question. It is, what is a tree cut, an illegal tree cut classified as?
we don't know.
Well, we decide, I guess.
It's not classified as a specific misdemeanor. It's just, the numbers have to fit within the misdemeanor things.
Okay, so a Class A misdemeanor allows up to $2,500, correct?
25,000.
25,000.
Yeah, but
2,500.
but that's something pretty severe, like,
Well, yeah, I'm not saying to go up to that.
yeah.
I got 3 sightings here that say 2,500 for a Class A misdemeanor in Arkansas.
But this month, Ms. Green did make a motion.
No, that we already have a motion.
No,
She made an amendment to that, wanted to make an amendment
did
to
you
that
make a
motion.
motion, Steve?
Yeah, Steve
thought
made a
I did.
motion, I
Oh,
second.
okay, I'm sorry.
I did.
Okay, I missed that.
Well, then
Okay,
I'll
I'm sorry.
withdraw mine.
And again, I want the tree replacement
Yeah.
in the 10.
Right.
10.
Okay, I'll make a motion to amend the tree ordinance that we multiply it by 5. It'll be $250 for small species tree. It'll be $750 for a large species tree and $1,000 for a heritage tree, and that each tree removed must be replaced.
I'll second that.
Actually, the large tree would be $1,000.
1,000 doesn't, I'm sorry, 1,000.
Yeah. Okay. Any discussion on that amendment? Ms. McClung?
Yeah, do we go by this chart, I guess, by the replacement requirements?
Yes,
So we need to probably reference that,
okay.
I would imagine.
What page
Or
is that?
that may already be referenced, but that's 9, page 9.
Done.
No, okay.
Yeah, by number and size, sure.
Okay, and I will amend that motion to include the trunk size of removable and replacement ratio required.
I think it's covered as long as we,
Yeah.
What-
I
That's,
think we're all right.
Yeah. We already got the definition.
do we have a second?
Can you say that again,
Yeah, I
Ms. Green?
I'll amend
I'll
it
second it.
to include the chart for trunk size of a removal of tree with the replacement ratio required. The chart.
But it's
Do you
already-
just want to include that?
Second.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Would you repeat the motion again, someone? Sorry.
Okay.
The amendment.
I make an amendment to the motion that the fine will be times 5, which would be $250 for a small species tree. It will be $750 for a large species tree, and it will be $1,000 for a heritage tree. There will be also the replacement of a tree using the chart, trunk size removal tree, and then the replacement ratio required.
Mr. Mayor, you can probably abbreviate that to the, you know, as defined by the chart in this ordinance, something like that, just to make it easier to.
Okay. Ms. Swain, did you make a second?
I did.
You want to withdraw your second, let her rephrase her amendment?
Do I have to read the whole
I'll
thing?
withdraw my second.
Okay. It will be amended to include the chart in page 9 of our amendment.
7.56.1.
Okay.
Okay.
7.56.
0.10.
Second.
All right, now you second that.
I second
That wasn't that hard.
Second.
All right. Any more discussion on the amendment to change of the penalties? Does everybody understand the motion? All right, the motion is to, the fines will now be $250 for small species, $750 for each large, and $1,000 for each heritage tree, and a replacement as per the chart on whatever the chart number was on page 9. Okay? All in favor of the amendment, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. All right, Mr. McClung,
Yeah, okay, now you need to go ahead and call for a vote for the amendment itself.
do we have,
We have the original amendment
okay,
that Mr. Holyfield made, and then and then she made that amendment to
yeah,
that.
all right, do we have any further discussion on the amendment? All in favor of the amendment, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved. Okay, any other changes or discussion on this? Ms. Swain?
I have a question about pruning.
Pruning.
Yes. So it's coming to my attention that the Buckeye tree by the post office, we're going to try to trim, but it was under the understanding that the big branch that comes out and that goes up that all the kids play on is going to be cut off. I just want to make sure that we are pruning our city trees properly and that this doesn't fall again on Jacob to handle all of these things, and possibly getting it pruned by an arborist. I think we have enough arborists in town that would do it for free,
Are you talking about the Buckeye?
the Buckeye. I think where
I'm not-
we're
well-
a city of trees, I think that everybody in this town holds that tree dear.
Do we know if we
So-
have anything regarding pruning in our ordinance off the top of your head?
There's something about excessive pruning.
Yeah, you can prune without, you can prune trees and prune your own trees without meeting requirements. Excessive pruning is penalized.
I'm not sure, that being a federal property, whether the city has any jurisdiction
Okay.
over that piece of property.
I got you. I just
I
want to
know
make...
we don't have any jurisdiction over
Right.
parking
Okay,
or anything else on that since it's federal government.
okay. Well, that's what I understood to be happening, so I'm just bringing it here to
I think what we
this.
need to do is, I can be glad to be talking to
Okay,
Yeah, check.
the post office master.
Okay.
I mean, he's reasonable.
Okay.
Is that a rumor, or is that known for a fact that it's going to be pruned?
Seems to be factual.
Huh?
It seems to be factual. Enough for me to bring it up, sir.
Seems to be factual. I'll talk to the postmaster. Mr.
But,
McClung?
yeah.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve ordinance number 2345 on its second reading as amended.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Mr. McClung made the motion, Mr. Myers seconded. So, hearing none.
Autumn Slane,
Yes.
Steve Holofield,
Yes.
Terry McClung,
Yes.
Melissa Green,
Yes.
David Avanzino,
Yes.
Harry Meyer.
Yes.
Okay. All right, that brings us up to our new business, renew of a group tour franchise for Joe Gunnels Tours. I think in your packet,
Motion.
I need a motion to discuss.
Motion to discuss?
Second.
In your packet, there's a application from Joe Gunnels, who's had this franchise for, I don't know, a long time. Mr. Gunnels is in the audience. I think I saw him back there. You want to come up to the podium in case there's any questions? How long have you had the franchise?
Since they began. I never remember when it was, the year that they started, though I've had a franchise ever since they
A
were
long
issued.
time. Yeah. So, Mr. McClung?
I'd like to make a motion that we approve Mr. Gunnels' franchise application.
Second.
And Mr. McClung made motion to approve, and Ms. Green seconded. Any questions? Any further discussion?
What's your revenue like this year?
I'm sorry?
What's your revenue like this year?
It's down.
Is it?
Yeah. I just checked those numbers on the way over today, and they're down. I didn't do an exact percentage, but I would say about 30% down this year. Not really sure why. I don't know, most of the council probably knows, but the tram tours are both for, in our terminology, we call individuals, and then as opposed to groups. Well, groups are just groups of individuals, but groups that come in on motor coaches or vans or buses, or sometimes in their own cars like a Corvette Club or something like that, but they're groups. And groups are down, I would say, about the same percentage. So I think it's just across the board market down a little bit this year. And why, I honestly don't know.
Where do you advertise?
Well, we do mostly, and this year we did the Visitor's Guidebook by the Chamber, and we have rack cards that are produced and distributed. We also mainly, really just web-based are just the organic results for searches for things to do, but specifically people looking for tours in Eureka Springs, anything like that. TripAdvisor rankings, Google rankings, Facebook reviews are super high. We just have really an excellent reputation, and that, we get great support from hotels. All the lodging, I'm not going to say all, but I mean, as far as I know, I don't know anybody that's not really recommending the tour. So for a 90-minute narrated sightseeing tour anywhere in the world for $17 is unheard of. So the price point, I always think we could go a little higher. And I'm a very conservative person, but we have room. We haven't even hit a $20 tour mark. And Mayor, I don't really know. It's been more than 25 years that the franchises have been going, about 28 or something like that. And we're not even to a $20 ticket yet. So we have room that we could increase, and that would help our revenue. But as again, the council, I think, understands that this is a split between the city transit department and Joe Gunnell's Tours. So, I mean, that rising tide lifts both of our boats, right? So it would be helpful to Smitty's bottom line as well. But certainly we would benefit from that as well. And we're not complaining, but
What is the city's portion, our budget for this?
so
I don't even know.
if the city sells the tickets, they keep 65%. And if I sell the tickets, the city gets 40%. And so there was a time a number of years ago that, and I don't remember who it was, but there was a comment, and I don't remember if it was a council member, but anyway, they were talking, oh no, it was, I believe, the transit director, but a comment about competition. And I said, we are our own competition. If I sell more tickets, if I market more, if I advertise more, if I, do that smartly and I sell more tickets than the city, I benefit more. So that should motivate, and I believe does motivate, the transit department to go, well, we want to get those people before Joe gets them, so we keep more of the money. And so we are our own competition selling the same product.
So transit sells the ticket? Or is that, am I hearing that correctly?
Transit sells tickets and we sell tickets.
Okay, I got you. Two different websites?
Yes.
I guess so.
Yeah. The
Okay.
city sells them through their website, we sell them through ours.
Okay.
Ours is I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean, are you listed on the CAPC's websites?
That's a great question. I really haven't checked the CAPC website to see if they, well, first of all, I would say, I don't know if there's anything, I would say basically they wouldn't be able to sell tickets. They could have a link that is linked to either the city's website or mine, but we're the only two, that's the only two places you can buy tickets, is either from the city on their website or at the ticket office or through our website.
Steve and David, will you look into that, please?
Sure.
Okay,
Yeah, I
thank
think
you.
it's just, I think, Joe, it's just a simple matter of, and I can show you how, getting on the visit eurekasprings.com website and listing your business,
Yeah.
which I don't know that anyone has approached you about doing that.
I don't know that anyone has, and I apologize for not knowing, but I
No, that's fine. I'm saying I'll be glad to show you how to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, if the transit department isn't represented on there as the Eureka Springs Tram Tours or selling the tram tours, then certainly we would want to be, and we could both be on there again, so.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sure.
I have one more
Yes, ma'am.
question. I feel like we just as a group need to know this before we move forward. What is the city's responsibility for maintenance? Or what is their, or is it your sole responsibility to maintenance vehicles, any repairs, employment? Is that all under you, or?
No, the I guess you would say the franchise is set up. I'm not sure if that would be properly stated, but
okay.
This is a public-private partnership, right?
Okay.
So when I tell people about the tram tours, that's what I tell them. It's a private-public partnership. The private part is me. The public part is the city, and there's the partnership. So we each have our part. So without Joe Gunnell's Tours or another franchise holder at some point, hopefully never, but we could pass this to generation, that'd be great. But without the tour service, the tour guide service that we provide, then the trams are basically the same thing as the trolley system, because they're transportation, but they're not narration. So they would just ride through town, but there would be no narration.
Oh, I see.
And so that's the part we provide, and that's why the city gets the greater percentage. And get a percentage of everything that we sell, plus our groups that we book, they get their percentage of that as well.
How do you stay abreast of what's current events in Eureka Springs to talk about on the tram?
We're not about talking about what's current and relevant currently to talk about. It's a historic tour.
Oh, okay.
We're not, it's not that, we're not going to talk about something or mention something, or we might, well, it's Corvette weekend or
Right,
something.
yeah, that's what I
But
was
that's
thinking.
not what that tour is for, what it's about. And really, our guides, I would say they know. We don't, I'm not saying that they're perfect. I'm perfect when I do it or whatever, but we really try to stay away from, and I'll preface this to say that we have businesses of all types that's on the historic loop that will contact us, and they may contact the guide just personally, see them somewhere and say, hey, when you're going by the shop, I'd love it. You feel free and mention the shop. We don't do that. We're not advertising. We really are real strict on the history and kind of sticking to facts and history. That's what the people are doing that for. So we're not really talking about a lot of new, current things.
Thank you for your clarity.
I would suggest that any of the council members and city people who've never ridden one of Joe's tours, take advantage of it. It's really enlightening. It's a lot of good information. He's got some people that give a lot of interesting historical facts as they drive around from the loop around Eureka. So you see them all the time, and you probably get behind them and you cuss them out, but it's a good tour. Yeah,
Happens
you do a good job.
My guests really, really like you.
All right, we got a motion
My
and a
guests
second.
like your
Any further
tours.
discussion?
Yeah, no more. Let's vote.
All right, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, so moved. Thank you,
all
John.
very
Thank
much.
you.
Appreciate you.
You bet.
All right, comes up with our next item is the year-to-date report from Building Inspector Jacob. I think Mr. Meyer has got something here.
Motion to discuss.
Get a second? All right.
Jacob, you're up.
Good evening. Sorry. My apologies about my list. It's been a busy year. Okay, so I'll start. Since I've been here since November, I've worked on several neighborhood cleanup agendas, having removed approximately 8 abandoned vehicles and multiple boats that have been left sitting on the side of the road, as well as abandoned on properties located throughout the city. I've encouraged and enforced commercial property cleanup around Hart's Grocery, specifically to provide a more sightlier hiking experience for tourists as well as locals, and to provide a more sanitary condition for our local environment. I've created door hangers to help distribute information regarding homeowners' responsibility on common code violations in regards to property maintenance. I've established short-term and long-term rental property inspection checklists for Airbnbs, bed and breakfasts. I've encouraged homeowners and property owners to help with property maintenance, to help the sanitation of our neighborhoods, as well as to bring up the property values around town. I've worked with local business owners and homeowners by educating them on building safety requirements as well as fire and safety requirements. I've worked with business owners to remove hazardous staircases located off Main Street, and work with contractors and owners in rebuilding a more safe and code-compliant staircases. I've encouraged the removal of hazardous trees located around town within our city limits, assisted with the updated tree ordinance, assisted with the creation of the Board of Appeals for the Building and Development. I've encouraged a more aggressive approach for commercial building inspections, safety inspections, fire inspections, working with the city fire marshal. I've also created a code enforcement inspection report. This is a free document that I've created online. It's to help document and keep track of all the code enforcement related issues within our city limits. I've also created a building and safety department inspection guide to assist with contractors with the inspection process, as well as providing details on each inspection process. I've created a building final guideline checklist for residential inspections and for local contractors. This is typically utilized for residential inspections in the process to help limit the reinspection process and also associated with reinspection fees. I've created a residential inspection guideline. This includes references to city ordinances, building codes, fire codes, life and safety codes, plumbing, etc. I've acquired over 220 continuing education hours regarding commercial plumbing, residential plumbing, international property maintenance, building code, legal aspects of code administration, international plumbing, chapters 4, 5, and 6, as well as getting my certification in code official safety specialist, as well as the code enforcement officer certification from the city of Little Rock. I'm currently enrolled in the International Code Council Multi-Combination Inspector course. I've also allocated additional education funds in my next year's budget to assist me with more certifications regarding an arborist certification, as well as a building code official certification. I've created a checklist and a code change list of all the state adopted codes for building code, residential fire code, plumbing, mechanical, fuel and gas, energy, Arkansas accessibility, fire sprinkler, and so on. This is to assist with contractors in town to keep them updated on local fire codes and local and state government codes. Sorry, my apologies. I've worked with the planning department in identifying unoccupied and abandoned structures, as well as you, sir, with driving around locating these buildings. And as of today, I've issued 262 building permits and creating a revenue right now for my building department of $41,858.62 to date. So it's been a busy year.
Any questions?
What was it last year?
$24,358 for all of last year.
I have a question. Jacob, do you have a backup plan? If you can't come to work for a couple of weeks, is there someone who can fill in for you, or is it just out of business?
I don't. I try to rearrange my inspections just to accommodate either if I'm out sick or something like that.
Right.
But I don't have anybody at this time to assist me.
Do you have any suggestions on
Actually,
how
we
to do that?
do. Jacob, we do have an interrelation personnel with Holiday Island and Berryville and Green Forest.
Oh, really?
So in case something does happen, so they can step in.
How long does it have to be out before that kicks in?
Just depends on how long Jacob's out.
Okay.
I mean, if we know he's going to be out for 2 weeks or longer, there's times when you're out for a week, and hopefully that time we don't need anything going on. We can take care of it.
Great.
But we do have an interrelationship with Holiday Island and Berryville both.
Oh, great. That's good. Thank you.
Any other questions?
I just want to say one more thing because I feel like some of my statements today have been a little misunderstood. I feel like you have broad shoulders, but I also feel like you're going to take on a lot and you have a lot of duties ranging from trees to buildings to commercial to residential. And I feel like he needs help and, an assistant, somebody to help you get through some of the paperwork. I just think it's a huge job, and I think that allowing one person to do so many hats, it makes you not do one of the jobs great. And I think that with the burden that you have on you, cleaning up what we have to clean up is enough. And I think that I feel like you truly need an assistant. Not that you're doing a bad job, not that any of that is, nothing that I have even seen you being here has been, I respect what you're doing.
Thank
I
you
respect
very
what you're
much.
doing.
Thank you.
But
I
I just
hope
want
that
to.
next year's budget, we can
Yeah.
budget in at
Yeah.
least a part-timer.
I'm just concerned.
Jacob, why don't you come up with a plan for us for next year? Because I too appreciate that we're getting code enforcement, and I know you are working really hard and you do have a full plate.
Yes, ma'am. Will do.
Any further comments?
Well, I know that he gets frustrated. He runs into some problems where you know, he sees a house or a building that the underpinnings need to be inspected by a structural engineer, and people will ask him, well, what do you think we need to do? And Jacob can't do that. You can't tell them how to fix their...
Not legally, no, sir.
No. They've got to hire an engineer.
Yes, sir.
And that upsets some people, but, you know, it's just like a mold problem.
Yeah, yes, sir.
It needs to be fixed.
Yes, sir. I agree.
Anything else?
I do have a question, and I'm going to base this off of the public comment that came from Ms. Ochoa. What is the situation with that property?
So during our inspection, it was a commercial inspection, an annual inspection. We discovered a large amount of water intrusion in that building. So much so where when you walked in the entry of that building, you can smell the moisture content in there. So upon inspecting the building, we established that we would require a mold remediation company to come in there to do an inspection. The report that was given to the building department was astoundingly a large amount of mold. We found a rodent intrusion into the ductwork system. We found mold throughout through the salon area that she actually operates. In the report, it actually states that there's more mold content within that area than outside of the building, directly outside of the building. So doing building inspections around the city of Eureka Springs, it's not common to find a lot of mold issues around town. There is a lot of mold issues around town. Nothing really being done and set in place to fight that or counter that. In my opinion, my recommendation that we do something about it, or people are going to continue being sick and having issues, health issues.
Was this addressed with the person or company that actually owns the property?
It's been addressed with the management, but we're going back and forth in what their responsibilities are into dealing with the mitigation and mold remediation.
Well, it's 100% their job to remediate it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Getting them to step forward and do something is a different story, and that's...
So at what point do you start issuing citations?
So what I want to do is, what I would like to do is bring up, maybe have a city initiate a city inspection process where we go in there with Super 8, the mold remediation company, and sit down and talk about ways to fix and solve this issue. Because it's not just Super 8, it's many buildings around town. But I think it needs to start somewhere. And Super 8 is definitely, I believe, a good starting point.
Yeah, I recognize that it's all over town, and this is, I'm grateful that Ms. Ochoa stood up and said what she said, because, you know, I'm sure she's not the only one that's going through this.
She's not. I get calls all the time saying, Jacob, these are issues that we're having, but please don't bring our names into it because we're scared of retaliation or issues with our landlords or the property owners. So this is something common that I get. It's very common that I hear these things. And I would definitely like to help out and do whatever I can to assist them, because I certainly don't want these people walking around sick like Ashley has been.
We currently don't have any ordinances or anything on file regarding this issue, do we?
With mold?
With mold and remediation, or how Jacob can legally handle it?
Doesn't the building code, International Building Code, cover this?
There is references for mold remediation and water intrusion and identifying mold. There is, for sure, but within our city ordinance and getting something in place is something we should do to kind of counter this, because it's happening in a lot of residences and a lot of commercial buildings. I'd like to see something more in place in our city ordinance to fight this, for sure.
Would you please put something together for us to take a look at?
I would, yes,
And
sir.
we can put it on
Absolutely.
our next agenda. I do think
Yes,
it needs
ma'am.
to be addressed immediately.
Thank you for that.
Not
Yes,
to
ma'am.
add to your 15,000 things to do.
It's
but-
all right. It's all right. I'm a multitasker.
Okay.
I'd like to have the mayor check with the municipal league on this. I don't, to see what we are allowed to do, if anything.
All right, well, I think it depends on we'll have to double check with the building code. In the IBC, I don't know exactly what it says in there. I'm not familiar with that section. Are you, Jacob, what it says exactly in the
No,
IBC?
I'm not exactly familiar with the exact section, but there is something regarding the mold identification and water intrusion and remediation. Yes, sir.
We'll double check and see where we go on that.
And it also falls into international.
Be careful where we tread.
Keeping everybody safe, though, is important for me to do, so doing something about it.
Everybody wants to go play safe.
Well, we certainly want the law on our side, so we'll have to make sure that we check it out.
Okay, any other comments, questions? Thank you very much, Jacob.
You're very welcome. Thank you, everybody.
Did a great job.
Thank you.
All right, next item is get a motion to discuss the resolution to approve the mid-year budget.
Mr. Mayor, we're going to have a workshop on this prior to
Well,
the next meeting.
we need a motion to do something first.
Okay, motion to discuss.
Second.
I mean,
Okay, I make a motion that we move this to the next meeting and have a workshop prior to that meeting. How's that?
Second.
that's all I'm asking, yeah.
Second.
Great. All right, any further comments? Mr. McClung made motion to move it, to have a workshop included in our work. Do you want to start the workshop earlier?
You bet. That's fine. You set that up, whatever.
Okay, I'll set the time and we'll have the workshop a little bit earlier for the mid-year budget review. Okay. On there. All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Motion to discuss ADA compliance.
I make a motion to discuss ADA compliance.
Second.
Okay, was that Mr. Amazino? Did you second?
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
Mr. Holyfield, you're off.
Thank you, sir. ADA compliance and civil rights of people with disabilities has always been a passion of mine. I actually worked in the field for about 4 years in Texas. And I met with our ADA compliance director here in Eureka Springs, which is Kim Stryker back there. Big shout out to her, did a great job. She laid out on the table all the books and all the pamphlets and all the information. And I was very impressed that the city is very much on board with what's going on with ADA compliance. Unfortunately, it took a complaint back in 2017, I think, by somebody to kind of kick the city into making it work, but it's working pretty good. And I think that what I understand is the city is not only at the compliance, we probably go a little above it, considering we're a smaller city than most cities that are requested to do all the extra stuff and things. But even saying that, there are things that we can improve on. And being on the CAPC and going to the tourism conference in January, I went to a workshop on tourism for people with disabilities and how different communities are trying to outreach. This is a group of people that we can attract as tourists and making our town more accessible and putting the information out there that who is accessible and who's not, what businesses are not. I did request from Paradise information on tourism for people with disabilities, and they gave me a nice packet of information. We'll go through that and work on that. At least I like to make a statement that this city is working towards making it a welcoming place for people with disabilities. Not only our tourists, but our citizens. We have a large number of retired citizens like me that someday want to keep being able to walk around town and have access to stuff. So like a lot of things in town, if you make it right for tourists, it's also beneficial for our locals and our citizens here and stuff. So there are a few things that we can work on, and I'll work on a project to try to bring those forth to the city. We do want to encourage any businesses up on the highway and even downtown. If you're working on doing any remodeling, please think about ADA compliance. Think about those people who have issues and access and stuff, and try to make their business accessible as possible. I think those 2 parking spaces that Ms. Stevens keeps bringing up is an issue. I know that I understand that the church itself requested those, but when the church is not holding service, other people with disabilities want to use those, and then a 45-degree angle in and out of that is really kind of a joke. So we need to work on that, and I'm going to contact the church and ask them what they think should happen, and maybe we can look at some other options around that area for fixing those 2 spots. So, and if anybody in town has any ideas on how to make it more accessible and things that we can do to make things better here, please contact me or anybody on the council, and let's try our best to make it as accessible as possible.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
this space right here is proof that we have worked on our ADA compliance, and a lot of money was spent putting an elevator down here, making sure people, I remember when the council meetings were in a little bitty room in the courthouse, and now everyone can get to these. So, yes, we're moving forward.
Yeah.
Ms. Green?
Harry, I can remember when Councilman Zeller had to go up in the lift into the jury room at the courthouse. And I personally will thank you for all your work that you did on getting the chairlift here and the elevator. And Steve, thank you for your work too on bringing this to our attention. And as CAPC representatives, what I think you should consider doing is on our CAPC website, we have the revolving thing with the lodgings, is there can be like a little handicap emblem put onto the picture that these people can.
There is one.
But no, I'm talking like on, it's not on mine, and mine are accessible.
We have a map on our website that shows those with ADA parking and ADA restrooms.
Okay, on the CAPC website?
Not on the CAPC,
yeah,
but
I'm
it's
asking
on
my,
the city website.
my representatives to do that on the CAPC website.
Sure. That's great.
Yeah. Mr. Almanzino?
Has there been any discussion or, I guess, questions raised about moving the parking spots in front of the post office? Can we even do that because it's federal property?
I talked to the postmaster, and he said no.
Okay.
I
was
wondering what the feasibility was there. That's the reason
Not
I
at
was
the post
asking.
office. I quizzed him specifically on that.
And they have the authority to say no, even though it's on the street?
We'd have to have a curb cut, and that's into their property. Yeah.
Are there any other spots in town that we can designate?
We're looking at one, Mr. Almanzino, because of that concern right around the corner. And again, when you do one, it takes away your regular parking. We've got another one right past the Palace Bathhouse that's designated as an ADA parking spot on there. And Steve, I don't remember how many parking spots. Did you find out? Kim may know.
Kim might. I can't remember. I did ask that, and we are compliant on numbers.
We are compliant with that, yes.
But,
and we knew the one on Mountain Street wasn't compliant.
Right.
That we did that strictly as for the church, for their elderly. And I talked to Public Works just about putting up another sign reserving that for Sunday, because they want something close for the elderly to get to their church. Somebody said, well, we're setting a precedent. Well, we've done that with other churches too. Presbyterian Church around the corner, we've designated parking on Sundays for their senior citizens on there.
So is that sign only handicap parking on Sunday?
It's only on Sunday. I've got to look at it again and see.
Because it's 2 different signs.
Yeah,
So,
but it's supposed to be only for Sunday.
yeah. So I mean, that's what I'm saying. If the church
But I
is
think
not
we're
in
gonna take it-
service, other people with other handicapped people will want to use those spots, and those are really.
Yeah, we're going to take it down and put up another sign because that's misleading.
Right.
It shouldn't be a ADA. We know it's not compliant.
Right. Definitely.
Yeah. Ms. Green?
What about, and I brought this up, it's a little off base, but we have a real problem in this town with people using our loading zones as their private.
With the what?
With our loading zones. They use our loading zone as private parking.
We're supposed to be ticketing those people after we're giving them a break.
They're never, they're there every day. They're not being ticketed.
Well,
I'm sorry, Butch.
Okay.
Let me finish. What I'd like to say is maybe we can do some curve cuts where handicap, at least the people that are driving or something, can drop them off so they can at least, get up on the sidewalk.
Yeah. Mr. Avanzino?
Just a thought, people who own parking lots in town, is it mandated that they also have free accessible parking?
It is.
Because I don't think I can't recall seeing.
The problem is we don't have, a lot of these parking lots are grandfathered, and I don't know if they're new parking lots, they have to have designated handicap parking. Being grandfathered, you know, in those parking lots, I'd have to go back and look and see.
I don't think grandpa applies to ADA.
If you've got an existing parking lot that's been there for over 50 years, you can't go back in and make them, I don't think. I'd have to double check. But building code with new, because it doesn't say existing, it says new parking lots. And our parking ordinance says new parking lots.
All right.
So, I mean, I don't know. That's a good question.
At least we're checking it out.
Ms. Slay?
There's no doubt that ADA is an extremely important topic, and I almost believe that we should put it on the reoccurring, just like we've done the water. I also feel like we should enroll this in this conversation as our sidewalks. I'm no means in a wheelchair, but I can't push a baby buggy up any of these streets. So I would love to see something that I could walk downtown in. And I think there are a lot of issues that are not going to be solved by one or two talks. So I would like to see the reoccurring agenda item every time we meet. Talk
like
about
that.
A few things and move on
I think that's a great
to
idea.
get it going.
Well, okay. Any other comments? All right, hearing none, that concludes our discussion for tonight with business. Got agenda settings on there. We've got a couple of items I know that we'll be putting on for next time. So anything else that hasn't been discussed?
I want to add the recycling bags.
The what?
I'm sorry, the recycling bags. I know, but I think I may have a solution, so.
Recycling bags.
I want to give everybody an
Call me
idea.
mellow yellow.
Yeah, right.
Anybody else? Mr. McClung, then, will city council comments?
Beautiful weather. I like it.
Absolutely.
That's it.
Mr. Myers?
It's September 11th. We all know what happened in 2001. And there were repercussions from that. More Americans died, and Afghanis died, and people in Iraq died because of that attack. So we can't forget about our soldiers who fought over there and the leaders that sent them there. That's all.
Ms. Slane?
You're right, 22 years today. I just want to thank everybody at the table tonight for open conversation and being good. It was a good evening. Thank you.
Ms. Green?
I don't have anything to say other than happy birthday to my husband.
Yeah.
I'll be zooming in the next meeting. I'll be on vacation on the West Coast, so I'll try to zoom in anyway.
Brag, brag, brag.
You know you don't have internet where you're going.
Mr. Avanzino?
I'm just looking forward to the Jeep Jam weekend and the other things that we have coming up in the next several months. Looking forward to them. I hope that more antique autos show up next year than were this year. I was looking forward to seeing more cars and didn't see as many.
More.
Right. I was looking forward to seeing a lot of cars, and I was just honestly just unimpressed by the numbers. So I hope we can bring those up next year.
All right. First of all, I want for everybody to remember that this is anniversary of 9/11. Sometimes we'll forget that going on, but Mr. Meyer kind of reminded me of that. And a lot of people died through that, and it certainly changed our whole world. And anything that we do and go places, anytime you go on transportation, your airplanes, anything. So it changed our whole world and through there. And want to keep those people still in our memory. So coming up, we've got a lot going on this month. Of course, this weekend, we've got the Jeep Jam Fest is returning, starting the 14th through the 17th. And then the 16th is the Jeep Jam Parade at 2 o'clock, starting at, this year's going to be different. It's going to start at the Passion Play, and they have the show up there. Then it's going to go down Magnetic, come up Hillside, go down Spring Street, up Plainer Hill, and then they disperse. So we won't have any of the Jeeps out on the highway. They've been told not to throw any candy and stuff out on the highway, so hopefully we won't see quite the log jam or the Jeep jam that we had last year on there. On the 15th, we got the Joe Nichols concert at 7 o'clock at the auditorium, and tickets are available. On the 16th, we got the Enclave Arts Pop-Up Art Fair in Basin Park from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. The 17th is the Constitution Day in Basin Park at noon, and at 4 p.m. is the Daughters of the American Revolution. On the 20th, through the 24th, of course, we got the Bike, Blues, and Barbecue. So be prepared for a lot of noise coming into town, a lot of motorcycles, a lot of people too, we hope. On the 20th, we got the Shotgun Billy's free concert at the auditorium at 8 o'clock, and that is a free concert. And then on the 21st, we got the Ian Moore and Shotgun Billy's at the Odd at 6:30. And on the 22nd, we got the Quiet Riot at the auditorium. And then on the 23rd, we got the Big Gun AC/DC Tribute Band at the auditorium. So we got 4 concerts coming up from the 20th through the 23rd at the auditorium. So we got busy weekends coming up on through here. So with that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. I think I had a second. Now, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right,
Guess we all
thank you
wanted to
all.
stay.